Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Just Enough to Suffer. We are here. It is October 5th, 2022, and the New York Jets are a 500 football team. I just want to take a second, clap it up for that for sure. Feels good. Feels great. We're going to talk a little bit about the Steelers game. We're going to talk a little bit about the Dolphins game. I also have some thoughts just about the rookies and how excited I am about the rookies. And I also want to do a little bit of a look ahead into the next 4 to 5 weeks on the schedule because it can get really weird really fast for this team if things go well. So I want to talk about that for sure. But first, Greg, tell me what's been going on. How's your life? I know you're excited about the Celtics are back soon, even though they don't have a head coach and probably don't have much of a direction right now. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, great. Love that lead in. That was awesome. Really, I was excited here, and then you just brought me down to here, which is what a good friend does.
You are confident that that's what's the direction we're heading, right?
No, not at all. No, not at all.
All right, well, talk to me about how you're feeling about non-Celtics things.
Good. Fall's here. I mean, football's in full swing now, which I think this is the best. This is the best time of the year because you're going to get football, and then we get hockey and basketball coming back. So there's just sports on literally every single night of the week, baseball playoffs. And I just really love the fall weather. The little crisp in the air. It's a little cooler out. The sun goes down a little bit earlier, which I like.
Yeah, it's gotten dark real early in New York.
Yeah,
so
it's like really off-putting the first time it happens, and then you kind of get used to it. But yeah, I mean, other than that, really just fired up. Like the vibes around the Jets are the highest that they've been probably since 2015.
So I was having a conversation with someone today, and they were saying, "Is this the biggest?" And Jay, we're gonna catch up with you in a second because it's been a while too. But they were saying, is this the biggest game for the Jets since 2015? And I think that's fair to say. I also am trying to be cautiously optimistic because it's kind of ridiculous that the biggest game we've had in 7 years is a random divisional game the first weekend of October. So just trying to keep myself under control a little bit because I'm going to get a little weird on the show. Jay, how you feeling?
Welcome back, Jay. We missed you.
I appreciate it. I think the only game that you could even say potentially after 2015 that would have any juice at all was when we came in 3-2 against New England, and the Austin Safarian-Jenkins game where they called that bullshit fumble. Remember that?
What a dark time.
We were winning that game against New England, and we were 3-2. Like we were like in a weird spot there, and then the season just completely derailed after that call. We lost the game. I don't think we won more than like 1 or 2 games the rest of the year, but whatever. Sunday was tough because the Jets won, and I was fired up, and then I had to watch the fucking Mets, and I'm sick and tired of my fandom. Like, I can never be happy for a whole day, not even. One team rips it out at this time of year, and it's typically the Mets. I can't believe they got swept by the Braves. That was pain.
That was
101 games, and they're playing in the wild card round. It's the most Mets thing ever.
That's like when the Patriots went like 11-5 and were the wild card team that one year or something like that. Then
they missed the playoffs.
They missed the playoffs entirely, right? That's what it was.
The year Brady tore his ACL.
Yeah, we were. Go ahead.
No, and also, I mean, like, it's like a typical Jet situation. Like we went 10-6 at the end of 2015 and didn't make the playoffs.
Yes, that was another one. Yes.
I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah. A little inside. Me and Jay were out in Ohio last week for our other podcast, Card Talk, and we were talking about the Mets a little bit. And Jay was very confident heading into that series. He felt like it was all going to be fine. They just had to get one, and it was fine. He was all excited.
Bassett. We needed one win. One.
Yeah, that's really tough. Greg's a fake Mets fan, so he's not really that affected by this. But
yeah, I mean, like for me, basically, like the 162, like it's too much for me because the way that the season like goes along, it's like right on the heels of the NFL draft, and then we get basketball and hockey playoffs. And it's just like I didn't talk about the Jets for 3 months after the Celtics and Rangers. So like my brain was just fried. And then I enjoy the playoffs and like I root for the Mets, but I'm not going to be one of those.
You won't have to root for the Mets for too long this postseason, so it's okay.
As a Met, no Met fan will ever argue trimming 20 games off the end of the season. We be in first place every year. But I like that idea. Trim it.
I will say the thing you brought up about this game has a lot of juice. A really like random one was that Monday night game against New England the week after Sam beat the Cowboys.
Oh, I was going to say the Browns. I think the Browns game but then it got messed up because he got mono. But the
'Cause of
lead
the
up to that
mono.
game was huge.
That was huge too. But yeah, that and then because I remember you and I were going back and forth. Like we were so fucking fired up for that Monday night game. But then the New England one, when Sam came back and they beat Dallas, and we're like, all right, what is it like?
We got a
2-4?
quarterback, boys.
Yeah, like
Meanwhile, we're about to have the
we-
exact same conversation right now.
Yeah, we started we were like looking ahead, like, hey, we beat New England, we got this team, you know, bazillion picks later and 17 quarterbacks later, and here we are.
It's crazy the road we've been on, but to get into the game and into the season, into the Jets in general, it feels a little different right now. I'm just gonna be honest.
Really different.
It feels a little different. I think, I remain questionable on the quarterback. I remain just in general a little bit cautious about the whole situation, but it's clearly the most talented team we've had in close to what feels like a decade, and probably a little bit longer, to be very, very honest. It's just there's just talent everywhere. The receivers are out there. Elijah hasn't really gotten his yet, but you have Garrett, you have Elijah, you have Braxton, you have Tyler Conklin. If he can ever stop fumbling, that'll eventually figure itself out. You got Brees, you got Carter. Like on the defensive side,
Davis.
Even Corey Davis has been fantastic. On the defensive side, you have the number 1 ranked rookie, Sauce Gardner. You have DJ Reed. You have Jordan Whitehead, who has had his struggles, but generally has looked pretty good. LaMarcus Joyner finally came alive last week. CJ Mosley, just like a beast and like always there. CJ Mosley is as steady as it comes, and he has limitations, but he's really good at a lot of shit, and I'm happy he's around. And this defensive line, I wish we can get some more sacks. It seemed like that started to come this week. It seems like the pressure's starting to come a little bit. They've stopped with the blitzing. Quinnen, going to be an all-pro this year. Jermaine Johnson, awesome rookie. Carl Lawson, starting to round into form a little bit. Like JFM's all over the field again. Like there's just so much talent on this team, and it just feels really, really different right now. So I'm hoping that you guys can maybe try to calm me down a little bit, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I mean the talent. This team, and this is going to sound weird when I say this team feels different. Like not in one of those like Cinderella, they're going to make a run type of feels different. But like every time that the Jets have been 500 or close to it, or we get these type of look ahead spots where we're looking at 3, 4, 5 games on the schedule, like they're playing way above their heads, right? Like the New England game, the Safarian Jenkins one, right? Like it's Josh McCown. It's Jeremy Curley. It's Safarian Jenkins. I don't even know who the running back was at that time. Like,
was it Bilal still?
It was Bilal.
Maybe. Yeah, well, I think it was. Yeah. And then, so like that one, it's like, yeah, they might beat New England, but it's like this team is just not, they're just not going to go far. And
for the record, if you Google Austin Safarian Jenkins, the first picture that comes up is him in a Jets jersey. That's crazy to me. Keep going.
Jesus.
Well, it was his biggest play ever. Was that? I mean, he was in the national news with that thing because it was the biggest bullshit ass call I ever saw in my life.
Yeah, that was tough for sure.
He never fumbled it.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Greg.
That has burned Jay for the
Jay has a lot of
5
thoughts.
years.
I'll tell you what burns me up even more. I'm gonna bring the positivity dodown slightly for a second in here. You're getting like old as shit like in life when like these penalties, these 15-yard like unnecessary penalties drive you more insane as you get older. It's funny. Like I used to like watch how pissed off my dad would get at like a bad unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, and I didn't get it. But like as I get older, like that's making me really mad. Like they got to stop with these ridiculous penalties. It's killing.
Are you saying they need to stop? Like the league needs to stop calling the penalties because they're too soft? Or are you saying the team needs to stop committing the penalties because they know?
No, the team needs to stop.
I agree. It's an issue.
A little bit of both.
It's a big problem, dude.
It's definitely a little bit of both, but you can't do anything about the rules. You need to follow the rule.
No, yeah, exactly.
That roughing the passer at the end of the half was absurd. On a Hail
It's a
Mary,
disaster.
you can't do. You gave him 3 points.
It's a disaster. Like just let him throw it. Who cares?
Right.
What are we doing?
That type of shit is frustrating now in October. And if this team actually wants to have a legit shot at making the playoffs and playing for the all important December games, like shit like that is going to kick you right out of that position.
Imagine if we had a play-in game week 17 to make the playoffs and like somebody committed with 2 minutes left in the game on a 4th down of roughing the passer or something like that to give them like we've seen that before. I've seen that.
Eric Barton
against the Browns in the playoffs with Mark Gastineau. I saw it later on with Eric Barton. I mean,
San Diego.
I don't want to see that again. He's got to figure out a way to cut down these penalties or bench these guys or something.
one of the worst penalties I ever felt. Like the time a penalty hurt the most in my life. I don't know if you guys are gonna remember this. In 2009, the Jets were playing the Bills, and it was like a field goal game. I think the final score was like 15-12 or something. Like it was literally only field goals.
That was probably the Thomas Jones game. We had like 200 yards.
Possibly, but I'm going to tell you the penalty, and you're going to remember what it was. I think you probably will, Greg, and Jay, you probably will too, actually. So the Jets are driving to win the game. I'm sorry, the Bills are driving. It's a tie game. They're driving to win the game, and I don't remember who's driving. I take it back. Ben Hartsock committed one of the worst holding penalties in the history of the NFL. Like an obvious, completely unnecessary, ripped this guy by the jersey, ripped him down, and cost us the game. And I think about Ben Hartsock. I think about the 2009 Jets, which was a great Jets team, probably the second best Jets team of my life. And the only thing I remember about it, or the first thing I remember about it, is Ben Hartsock committing a random penalty on a rainy night at the Meadowlands that cost us the game, and it was just the worst. But shout out to Ben Hartsock. I hope he's doing well.
We've had so many of those moments. The crazy thing is, I don't even remember that particular one.
I don't know.
I'm going to try to find it, man.
Should.
I'll look it up, but let's talk about the Steelers a little bit. Obviously, a great win. You love to see the fourth quarter like come together. The quarterback was kind of up and down throughout the day. I'm going to ask you about Zach, Greg, and kind of your takeaways, kind of your expectations heading into the game, and then your takeaways coming out of it. But it's just obviously it's great to see the defense come together against a subpar offense. Like they're doing what they're supposed to do against that offense. I would say I don't think that they should be scoring more than 20 points really in a game. They're just not built like that right now. And the 4 interceptions are awesome, and the quarterback pressure was there for the most part throughout the game, and it was just a lot better overall in defense, which I was excited about. So, Greg, what do you think about Zach? Obviously, everything comes back to him. The rest of the season will be judged on the way that Zach performs, as we've always said. So, first game back, what were your thoughts? And Jay, after that.
The stat line in the first half wasn't great, but without context, I mean, with context, he kept a lot of drives alive in a way that Flacco couldn't, where he was extending the play, and for the first time I think that I've seen, he was actually throwing the ball away. There's a couple times where he made some throws where you're kind of like those are going to lead to picks sooner rather than later. But for a good majority of them, he extended the play and then just got the ball out and lived to see another down. Going into it, I knew it was going to be kind of a shit show because of A, what we saw from Flacco, B, all the talent that they have on the roster, and like 2 is kind of the season depends on how well or not well Zach does. And so every single throw is going to be scrutinized. Every single throw is going to be overanalyzed. And so I went into it with that being, okay, let's just take the whole body of work and then evaluate it from there. And a good point that Connor Rogers brought up was that he in the first half, he didn't play as well. And then he reset himself. And we saw what happened in the second half where he looked calm. He looked composed. I thought the fourth quarter, it was weird because, usually when we see that type of stuff, like the quarterback's like, you can just kind of tell it's like frantic, right? Mm-hmm. But with that, it did not.
That was the best part of the whole thing.
Not one time did it feel frantic. It felt like he's been doing it. It felt like, I imagine this is how like Patriots fans felt for 20 years, right? When you get the ball and you just know Tom's going to convert. And that's kind of obviously to a lesser extent, but that's the way I felt was Zach.
But you're right. And I was going to say, like, I think the biggest part of that to me, there was 2 takeaways from that last drive for me. It was how composed everybody was. And it was also like the play calling was so out there bananas with all the running, and they just seemed so together. It was very, very clearly they've run this 2-minute drill like 150 times, and they really have it down, which is awesome. Like you guys know how I get with like game management stuff. It drives me nuts when they don't look composed. They looked very ready to play. They looked like they knew exactly what they were going to do. When they got down to the 30 or 25 or whatever, and they were like, run. I was like, let's fucking go. Like they clearly knew what they were doing, and it was great. Go ahead, Jay.
I was just saying that they converted a 4th and 5. It was super, super impressive. I mean,
on that, wasn't there a 3rd and 15 or whatever?
First and 20.
Yeah.
When is the last time a Jet team has converted when they got behind the down and distance? When?
Guys, 4th and 5 in Pittsburgh in the 4th quarter, late with the game on the line is ice water in your veins as a rookie. He's not, as basically a rookie. I mean,
What is it, like his 15th NFL game ever or something?
First start back. And like
I still give him rookie credit, honestly. I haven't seen enough of him to even call him anything beyond a rookie. But with that offensive line, look, he had some terrible throws. Let's be honest. He had some bad throws.
He needs to work on the touch.
Yeah,
he needs to stop zipping the ball on every single pass, but that'll come.
One running back that he was like
the Brees one on the outside, right up top.
I couldn't even believe how bad that throw was. But that said, I mean, just like Greg said, total body. I mean, look, the guy went in two scores down, 12 minutes to go in Pittsburgh, and led us back, and we won in regulation. I mean, respect. Look, I don't know what else to say.
We got the ball back with 3 minutes and 34 seconds left on the clock on our own 35-yard line. Zach went on to complete his next 6 passes in a row, and then we ran, touchdown.
Lou, that's exactly what Mark Sanchez would have done in the AFC.
Goddamn right, that's exactly what. That's why I felt so good about it.
Exactly what he would have done. It makes me so upset. And it was Antonio Brown that did it to us.
And it's nothing crazy. We're not trying to do anything nuts here. Like, it's like, hey, let's do a 6 yard out to 6 yard out to Conklin. Let's get the ball to Garrett in space. Let him move around a little bit. Like, it was awesome. And then even in the first half, it was like, it felt like they were trying to get guys involved. Like, it's clear that Eli hasn't been involved enough in the offense to date. You know what they did? They came out, gave him 5 targets in the first half. I wish there was more in the second half, but it's like, get him involved, get him in the mix, get him in ways that he can do it too. It was ways that we thought that Eli can compete. The deep throws over the middle, the deep throws over the top are not going to do anything with Eli Moore. Like, I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that doesn't seem like his talent. No. I think the issue we're facing with Garrett and Eli is they're both potentially very good players in the slot. And I think that limits what we can do on the outside. Greg, you can tell me differently. I feel like Garrett should be our outside guy, but it seems like he's much more comfortable in the slot.
I mean, as far as like the slot and the receivers and where they're lining up and stuff, there's really not a huge, like, especially in today's game, it's really not, it's not as like clear cut as like, 10 years ago, right? Where you'd have your big, tall receiver as your X, you'd have the small, short, shifty guy as your slot, and then you'd have like a medium-sized guy as the opposite receiver. Like, all these guys are interchangeable and they can play all the wide receiver spots. I
disagree with that, but I think they can built that way.
Their skill sets, they can all play all 3 wide receiver spots in the passing game.
I'll take your word for it.
I think Garrett is going to slowly become the outside guy. I just don't know. Like, they just get so fucking open in the middle of the field. They're like, there's no reason.
Garrett's open every play. It's unbelievable. He's open every single play.
And the thing about Garrett too is that he's very good once the ball is in his hands at creating 5.
He loves a little double move.
Yeah, and then his same thing. And then Eli, I mean, I don't know what the hell was in his head, but he did like the Tyreek Hill thing where he's just going to catch it and then go back 5 yards. That's a new thing with wide receivers. I don't get it, but
trying to get more yards, I get it. I would prefer he would have just cut that one up and got an extra 2 instead of losing 4.
Yeah, but like they just got a lot, like the talent, like you said, like the talent. They just got a lot of dudes, and I do like when they line up with Carter as a wide receiver and Brees in the backfield.
I like to double RB and then move one of them out. I love that.
Because Michael Carter, if they're just going to run him on like short 5 to 10 yard routes in that area, like because most likely if teams, they'll probably just throw a linebacker out there or drop a safety down, depending on who else is in the game. But like if you force a team to go man, because those guys can get open in zone, and I mean they can get open in man as well. But like the deep shots, I think will come. Who's going to get them? I don't know. But, I mean, they're just getting whatever they want in the middle of the field right now. And on that last drive, those couple of runs at the end that you talked about, that was a hurry up. They're not set. Let's get them on their toes. And then they picked up an extra, 14 yards on those couple of runs. Low-key, Saleh burning the clock down. I could tell everyone was freaking out at the end.
Oh, I was freaking out.
I think he knew exactly what he was doing.
It's clear they knew what they were doing. That's why I immediately took it back. I was freaking out the whole time with all the runs, not calling timeouts. I'm like, what are we doing here? What's happening?
That's the spot you're in. You have the field goal right there. Everything else is pretty much how it's played. I get you want to play for the win, but you have the field. You have points in your pocket down 3.
Yeah, totally. And I think, maturation of Robert Saleh. I think he's growing as a head coach. I think he's getting better every week. That seems very clear. I think we will always be a pro Saleh show. He he has had some growing pains, just like Zach's had
Yeah.
growing pains, just like Mike's had growing pains, just like all these guys. Not Sauce, he's perfect in every way, but like all these other guys are growing and they're trying to get better. I think Saleh talked about having a situational manager that he leans on pretty heavily in those moments. So
which I'm fine with. Like I'd rather
I don't
a guy
care about that at all. Yeah, as long as it's done right, I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a shit who does it. You could call some
Call Greg. I don't care.
kid.
If it's right,
Yeah.
it's right. I don't care.
What is this? What's this call from East Rutherford? Hello, I'm watching Czech game.
Yeah, it's and I want to talk about Sauce a little bit, but it's just like it just felt really good to be that. It felt like we were in the game. We were always in the game. There was never a time we got up 10-0. They bring in Kenny. That's classic Jets. He comes in and beats us up and we lose. He had the 2 rushing touchdowns. He's talking all this shit. That's classic. We lose that game the last 10 years 100 times out of 100, right? It's different now.
I didn't think they would come back in the Bengals game. I know you thought differently, Lou. They really haven't been out of any game this season so far, right? And
no, they've never been out of a game.
Like the Ravens game, it was kind of just like a slow death.
At the end, by the time the middle of the fourth quarter came around, the game was over. The Ravens.
When they hit those 2 big shots,
late third.
Huh?
That game was over late third quarter. After
I disagree. I think we were still in the game, but
yeah, the Bengals one. I mean, agree to disagree, whatever. But there was still a scenario where I think that's improvement as well. You could still talk yourself into them making a stop and getting a touchdown and getting back into a game.
Yep.
And I don't think we've seen that in the last, we keep going back to it, but however many years, like this team, and especially for how young they are, how composed they are in a 2-minute setting like that, for all the shit we get on coaching and the unsportsmanlike conduct penalties and all that shit, that's on coaching too. That's just not players going out. So that's, we do have to look at the other side of the token.
That's the most coaching.
Yeah.
Being able to run a 2-minute drill is all coaching.
Right. And everyone, they know where to be. They know the play they're running and they get to their spots. They get the ball back and they do it again. And it keeps the defenses on the field, right? That's kind of how you kill people in 2-minute offenses is you keep the defense on the field. They're gassed, keep guys in, don't sub, have your unit, run it. And then we saw what happened. We saw what happened on Sunday. It's even down 10, like a lot of the times we've just felt like, when Pickett scored that second touchdown, I'm like, fuck, man, like they're really going to lose this team. And they immediately go down, they score. And it's like, all right, needed me to play. They get an interception. The defense, they just got ate alive for most of the game. They had some good turnovers, but when they needed to make a play the most, they made a play, and the Jets capitalized on it. Which, I mean, that's just
Marcus
I don't know,
Joyner.
man.
Proud of you, bro.
So happy for him.
Proud of Marcus Joyner.
The play he made on Claypool just to get that tipped up was insanity.
A great play.
That's just a dude that's like, I'm doing whatever I can to make this incomplete.
That's right. Go ahead, Jay.
I got to give you guys a crazy stat. You guys know first of all, Lou knows my love of Corey Davis, my original PC.
He does love Corey Davis and Denzel Mims.
And Denzel Mims, unfortunately, but Corey Davis is thriving, so we're going to stick
still inactive every week.
We're going to stick to Corey Davis and go positive vibes only.
Positive vibes only. I was just saying.
Okay. Corey Davis is on pace.
Last week.
Corey Davis is on pace right now for 60 catches for 1,044 yards and 8 touchdowns if he continues at this pace. That's a big season, 17.4 yards per catch. I guess because he had that long 80, 75-yard one.
Yeah, that'll come down.
Yeah, but that'll come down. But regardless, he's on pace for a pretty big season. He's legitimately he's like our number 3 receiver, right? But kind of he's the guy making the big catches right now.
If he catches 50 balls and has 700 yards receiving, I'll feel great.
Yeah, I mean, he was on pace for more than that, even without that long helm.
Yeah, and he was one of those guys that I thought heading into the season would make sense as a trade candidate, like hopefully get him going a little bit and then dump him off for a pick. I don't think you can do that now. He's clearly a big part of the plan, and Zach trusts him in big spots. Big spots, he's looking at Corey Davis pretty much every time, it seems like.
And it was encouraging to see on the last tries him go to Garrett, too, because he has the camaraderie with Eli and Corey Davis. And it was great to see him get the ball in Garrett Wilson's hands.
Absolutely.
I don't know, the Corey Davis, we talked about it in our Bengals post game. Like the Corey Davis thing was just, every time the guy makes a mistake is the worst possible imaginable time for a mistake.
But he's been getting better.
And it overshadows it, right? But like now he's making tough catches over the middle. He's, making
He had a
catches.
big catch on that last drive, I think, or towards the end of the game.
That was certainly not a catch, but the Jets, for the first time in their lives, ran up to the line, ran a play, and
the one that bounced.
Like,
that was the one that I'm talking about. The one that
we got to the line. I love that. We got that next playoff. I was like, oh, let's go.
I mean,
but
the Jets have
that's
finally
how you spring a drive. You got to spring something. Like that's how it works in the NFL. You need a big play, and if
Jets
it's
call timeout, just call timeout, make subs, give the
we can't get the play in. We got it. And then I think the next play was even like a good play. Oh no, we lost 2 yards on the play, but still, it's like you get up and you call a play.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I'll take that every day of the week. And there was a couple other plays that were really interesting to me, and then I want to talk about the Dolphins and looking ahead a little bit. So there was one play they ran to Garrett. They threw it on the bottom of the screen, and he kind of gave a quick little double and was like almost sprung out and scored a touchdown. I think he only ended up getting like 5 or 6 yards. I think that's what it was. Yeah. And it's just like he's so explosive. And I think you saw I saw a lot more of the growing pains from him in the last week or two, but it's clear there's really something sitting there that could potentially get really crazy.
Yeah, it's tough to overstate just how open these guys are. Literally,
it's crazy how open they are. It's all, and I also want to bring up the point. I know this will probably be everywhere by tomorrow, but the stat is the Jets lead the league in explosive plays, which is an insane stat to hear out. Sorry,
I think they're second.
You're right. Sorry,
fast plays at 15
they are
plus
second.
Yards.
Yes, fast plays at 15 plus yards. They're second in the NFL with 31 plays of 15 or more yards. I don't think I've seen 31 plays of 15 or more yards in the previous, again, not to overstate it, in the previous 10 years. It's a really exciting offense. They are running some crazy plays every week. The thing that I continue to be I don't fully understand, and it's probably a product of I don't really understand football that well, is the game plans can get kind of disjointed really fast. It feels like if the game isn't going the way we want, we can kind of get disjointed a little bit quickly. So to me, it seems like heading into this Dolphins game, Greg, do you have a feel for like what we want to do, what we think we can exploit against them? Like, who are the Dolphins really? Obviously, there's been this whole Tua situation. We'll set that aside. They'll have Teddy Bridgewater coming out. Who is this Dolphins team? What do you think they have holes that we can exploit? And what are you thinking heading into the game overall?
Well, the Jets want to run the ball because this offense is predicated on running the ball. We saw it on Monday night with San Francisco, right? Like it's pretty much an offset of what they do. They want to run the ball, they want to run play action off of it, and they want to keep the defenses in misdirection. Now, I know you hate the runs in like the 2nd and 10 runs.
There's nothing I hate more than a 2nd and 10 run after a 1st and 10 pass for nothing. I hate that.
You hate it, but that's the type of shit where, they run it like that, and then we see the one where it's the RPO, Zach holds it for long, and then he hits Conklin right over the middle. Like, it makes the defense creep up, and you start getting those chunk plays. It's going to be a lot of bashing your head against the wall, but it's essentially, I mean, especially with this offensive line, when
By the way, Elijah Vera Tucker, thank you for being the greatest person to ever grace my life. What a legend. This guy has been nothing but amazing for this team since he got drafted. You might have heard that we traded a lot to get him. And ever since we've gotten him, he started at 3 different positions in his first 18 games in his NFL career or something. And it's and he came in the left tackle and he was like, the first couple of snaps were tough, but after that it was fine. It's like,
just
okay, cool. You're going to be the left tackle now. That's fine too, I guess.
And it's like, cause I know we've had this conversation a lot too, where it's like, oh, we'll just plug him in at this position on the offensive line. Like that's, Any offensive line person you can find is like, nah, that's not how. Like, even if you're just going from right guard to left guard, you're like, no, that's not how this shit works at all. Like, it's a totally different position as opposed to a guy who's playing defensive end or defensive tackle, right? Like, obviously, it's kind of apples
edge
to
defensive end, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, AVT is a fucking stud. Like, that's a dude. Again,
what'd you say?
I said, eat it, Seth Walder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's a guy who just stares at spreadsheets all day. Yeah. Doesn't actually watch the player.
Who's that other guy we saw over the weekend, Greg? The guy.
Oh, that Dan Brown.
Guy. What was his name? What was he saying?
He
said something so ridiculous. It was so stupid.
So stupid. I hate
it. Something I will say is an interesting part of this season for the Jets has been we have a weird amount of haters in a way because I think we're go ahead.
Brian Drake.
Drake, yeah. Drake Fantasy
or something. Zach Wilson stinks, 3:07 p.m. 8:35. If you watch the Jets game and still think Zach is the answer, you aren't asking the right questions.
Yeah,
Let me just say that I fucking hate people like this because he thinks he's smarter than literally every single person that watches football. You're not asking the right questions. What's the right questions, Brian? Tell
What
me.
are the questions?
What
He got a game-winning
what
drive. He
questions should I
completed
be
every pass
asking?
on a game-winning drive. Tell me what else you want.
Yeah, and then we found out that he's a big Elijah Moore guy, and
he's mad because Eli Moore isn't doing well in fantasy.
Yeah, the 40 people who follow his podcast drafted Elijah Moore because
let's not pretend that we have a lot of listeners on the show right now, so I don't know if we can call.
No, but I'm also not telling. I'm just gonna do that from now on. I'm just gonna be like, you think inflation is bad? You're not asking the right questions.
This isn't about sports, Greg.
Yeah, this isn't about sports.
Getting back to the Dolphins game a little bit, you're saying we want to run the ball a lot. Do you think it seems clear to me that Brees is taking over the bell cow role from a running back standpoint? It seems like they very obviously want to get him 15 to 20 touches a game on the ground. He's also been heavily involved in the pass. I think it was a lot less this week, but all season long, it was pretty heavily involved. I think they don't want to phase Carter out, right? He's very clearly an effective player on offense. I think he'll be maybe more of a pass catcher, but what do you see in there?
It's just a fine-tuning thing. I think they're just kind of going through how they want to split these reps. Ideally, you want to see Brees be, the quote-unquote bell cow guy, and Carter kind of spell him in spots. And then you want to see more targets for Carter as opposed to Brees. It's just a fine mix of those two things, not, leaning all the targets towards Carter, none for Brees, as, all the rushes for Brees, none for Carter. You want to have, a nice middle game. And it also depends on, the game plan and who they're playing and how each guy's playing. But I do think they have a very good 1-2 punch and a guy like Brees who, it's so funny because you see on some of these runs where if he just decides to cut it up a second earlier, he's gone. It's a huge game.
He's so close to busting a really long run. It's going to happen soon.
It's going to. And then you got a guy like Carter who, I've said it since, I scouted him a couple years. He just falls forward. There's really not going to be a lot of
crazy, man. He finds a way to get, even if we're going to lose 3, he's going to cut it to losing 1. Get it back to the line of scrimmage.
What you want to see. That's what you want out of a running back. And, he's elusive enough to, we saw at the end of the game, pick up some chunk plays in the 2-minute offense. He's been vital to both of our comeback wins on the last drives.
You're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. Something I want to talk about with the Jets heading into this game as well is there was a quote from Sauce Gardner today about Tyreek Hill. I don't know if you guys saw this one. He not called him out. That's probably not the right word. But he basically said he thinks he can take Tyreek Hill. How do you see that working out? I think the safety play, obviously I'm expecting Tyreek Hill to have 1 or 2 big plays in this game, but the safeties have been up and down so far. Obviously, I think we were happy. Like we said, we were happy with how they played last week. But can DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner take these guys one-on-one? I know that's what the defense is kind of built for. It's hey, we're going to get a pass rush and we're going to let these corners try to do their job. I'm assuming they'll have to adjust that a little bit. What do you think about that?
It's one thing to stop a Tyreek Hill. It's another thing to stop a Tyreek Hill and then a Jalen Waddle as well.
And Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, whatever.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it was whatever. But this is going to be the true test of if this team is going to turn the corner, because there can't be any miscommunication on defense because you will get murdered. The tackling has to be good because this Miami team will absolutely eat you alive on missed tackles. The two things that we've harped on for the first 4 weeks of the season, those things need to come to an end come Sunday. And again, you cannot give this Dolphins team, I don't care if it's Bridgewater. Obviously Tua is not playing, but even if it was Tua, you can't give this team extra opportunities to go down and score. They're too explosive. The Jets are very prone, especially with the safety play. I don't know if this is just an outlier game for Joyner and Whitehead, or if this is going to become somewhat of a trend. Obviously not to the extent of 4 interceptions, but somewhat along that lines. But it's got to be, the communication's got to be on point. They cannot get beat on dumb communication plays. They have to play smart, and they have to tackle. Tackling is going to be huge this game because Waddle and Hill, as we've seen, can turn 10-15-yard plays into 75-yard touchdowns, and you're crushed.
This is not hit stick week. This is not rip the ball out. This is wrap somebody up and get them on the ground, and 3 guys better be there real quick once they make contact. Because you're exactly right. These are the guys who are going to break a tackle, and then 2 seconds later, they scored a touchdown because they went 70 yards on the field. So that's something to watch for sure.
And if you want to compete against these good teams, like we keep saying, meaningful game. What happens if you get into a meaningful game in January in the playoffs, right? You're going to be playing these good teams that are going to exploit all of these little weaknesses that you have. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a real measuring stick type game for this Jets team and this coaching staff, and especially for this defense. I think this offense can compete against this Dolphins defense. I know they like to run a lot of cover zero. So we'll see how that plays out with the Jets' ability to get open in the middle of the field. They're going to have to hit a deep shot, I think, at least once or twice this game, or at least take one. But it's going to be a huge, like, okay, this is what this team is type of game. Not one of those outliers like, oh, they beat a really good Dolphins team like in years past. This is going to be okay, we're going to find out if this team can compete for the division. We'll see how the Bills do, but can they compete for the division?
Yep. Jay, I know you're a big Dolphins fan on the low. So
huge Dolphins fan.
How are you feeling? You'll be up in New York. You'll be up in Jersey for the game. How are you feeling heading into the Dolphins game?
I want this game I hate the fucking Dolphins so much. Like, I live down in South Florida, and so when I was growing up, right, like, the Patriots sucked. Like, our rival was was Dan Marino, and it was fake spike play, all that shit. Even like Monday Night Football, like 51-45, Wesley Walker 3 touchdowns. Like, watching that with my grandfather, that was when I was like a kid growing up watching the Jets, and like I developed an extreme hatred of the Dolphins. And then living down here and watching, we haven't beat the Dolphins down here. Honestly, I've been to I think the last 5 or 6. I don't think we've won one game. Not that I remember. We've been
a disaster for a long time, so that makes sense. Keep going.
We've had some really bad ones too. I don't want to take up too much time, but I mean
go. Let's get it all up.
Like 17 with what's his name? The cigarette smoking quarterback. What was the name?
Jay Cutler.
Yeah, Jay Cutler. So it's funny, that's how I describe him. But
that's smoking Jay. That's like his number one.
He goes out. They're down 17. The backup comes in. And I forget who it even was. Leads him back in the
Matt Moore.
Matt Moore beats us to 17.
Guy's a jet killer.
Then we kick off. Fitzmagic fucking leads us down the field. Tie up the game with like 3 minutes left. We kick off. Go offsides on the kickoff. Have to kick it off again. They return it for a touchdown. This is what I've seen down here. And like walking out of that stadium with the Dolphin fans just throwing shit at us, and brought my poor dad to the game one year, and they were like, it was horrible. Like my poor dad almost had a heart attack in the parking lot.
Yeah, the people of Florida are just horrible people. They're all terrible.
Awful,
Miami's one of the worst cities in the world, I would say. It sucks.
But yeah, so sorry about that.
I want to give a Saleh quote that I think is really important heading into this game. And we've been saying it forever, and I like hearing him say it to the team. We have 12 consecutive division game losses. We've been outscored 358 to 158. 12 losses in a row. That shit is not flying. That shit fucking ends this year. And that's all we've been saying. That's all we've wanted this entire time. This team has to beat division rivals. You got to beat the Dolphins. You got to beat the Patriots are bad. We should be sweeping the Patriots this year. I've been saying that since the beginning of the year. I hold firm on that. They're one of the worst teams in the league. They should be beaten twice by us this year. They should be in dead last in this division, no questions asked. If we can't beat the Patriots, if we can't take one from the Dolphins, if we can't take one from the Bills, what the fuck are we doing? And like that's
the allure of the New England and Foxborough, it's fucking gone. Figure it out.
Bailey Zappi, whoever that guy is, he's sucks. This team sucks.
Don't you have a future bet, don't you, about the Patriots coming in last?
I do. I have a bet on. I have a future for the Patriots coming in last. The Patriots have the number 1 pick. The Jets sweeping the Patriots. I have all those.
I love that.
You can't.
That's a man with conviction. Puts his money where his mouth is. I respect it.
I'm. I know everyone's focused on the Patriots. Like, I think a lot of Jet fans got to beat the Patriots, just because like they haven't beat it. Like, I'm more focused winning a fucking division game against a bad New England team. Like, figure it out, right? Like, you can't be going into it being
no different
like,
than
this is New England. This is New England. Like, well, like the history. Who gives a fuck? They're playing like Mac Jones sucks, right? They have no offensive weapons. Defense is, fine, whatever. But you can beat that team. It's not the fact that they lost,
Mac Jones backup.
Yeah, I mean, whatever they play, but like the fact that they went in and lost, what was it, like $1 billion to nothing last year was disgusting.
hideous.
Like I would have fired everybody after that game.
100%. And like this is Dolphins week, so I want to focus on the Dolphins because I think the Dolphins are a good team. And like you're saying, it's a measuring stick team and measuring stick game. Like again, the Patriots are the Commanders. They are, they're like the Bears. They're the bottom of the league. That's who they are, and that's how they should be treated. The Steelers. That's how they should be treated. I'm not even that worried about them. This game is really important for a guy like Sauce, who's given up all of his numbers are crazy. He's the number 1 ranked rookie according to Daniel Jeremiah. He's given up no touchdowns, given up very little receptions, very little yards, a ton of pass breakups. Anytime they test him, he's all over the ball. Like this is a big game for a guy like him who talks. Sauce talks. So does DJ. Big game for DJ. He's got a bunch of money. I love that guy. Let's see it against Jalen Waddle. I want to see it from all these guys. Like this is a very important game.
Yeah.
And the last time I said that, we got our ass beat, so we'll see.
Yeah, like this can't be a game where you come out and you're down 17-0 in the first quarter.
The stadium's going to be jacked up. There's, like we were saying before we got on, there hasn't been as much juice for a game, I think, in a really long time. The stadium's going to be fired up. It's going to be an offense intro day. Zach's going to come out. The place is going to go bananas. You cannot come out flat in that game. It's not an option. And I would also caution, I want to just put that out there now that I said it out loud. Remember the Patriots game when Zach came back and he did the intros and he was all jumpy before the game and then he threw 4 interceptions in the first half and then after the game he was like, I was too excited. Hopefully he's learned his lesson and he can keep it calm for the intros.
Yeah.
Just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I get it from him, and you could kind of tell like how jacked up he was.
Understandable.
He was like, fuck, first home game, starting quarterback in New York. I get it, but yeah, now it's business time, right? That shit's gone.
Big game. This team on offense, Tua has been a big part of their success so far. He will not be in this game. If we can just keep Tyreek and Jalen Waddle under control, the Jets should be relatively under control. The Jets should be in this game, scoring at least 20 points, keeping it interesting towards the end. If we lose the game, it is what it is. I'm fine with losing games that are competitive and really tough games that we have a chance to win all the way to the end. I wasn't that upset about the Bengals game. I really wasn't. I wasn't that upset about the Ravens game either. I was mad. I wanted to win, but like looking back, those are competitive games. That's a team that's trying hard to win. Even this game, I was expecting a ton of rust from Zach, and it's like he comes out, started off hot with that first drive. They run that Philly special, which was obviously amazing. Hits a cool Griddy, and then he struggled in the middle of the part of the game, kind of expected. He has too much zip on the ball, like we were saying. The passes are kind of a little bit errant, and he comes together in the fourth quarter. In this game, let's see if we can start hot and stay hot all the way to the end of the game.
Agree
and all those things. And like I just want to win this game so bad. I want to win so bad.
Yo, guys,
go ahead, Jay.
You know how like the players and the coaching staff and the front office and everybody have all been pushing back hard this year on this is not the same old Jets. This is not the same old Jets. We're taking receipts. You want to fucking go out there and prove this isn't the same old Jets, you go win this game. Like this is a winnable game, but like this is a game that if you win it, you announce to the league that you're to be taken seriously, that you're not some clown. So like, the Dolphins are objectively a top 10 team in the NFL. No, I mean
right now, yeah.
100%. So I mean, go win the game. Let's see it.
Yeah, they're down their starting quarterback. They're like drenched in turmoil with all this concussion stuff. Like beat this team.
Yeah, at home, division.
Yeah. Last couple things I wanted to do here, just looking ahead the rest of the schedule. I think if you asked me 2 weeks ago, this little stretch here, we got out of that first quarter of the season 2-2. Can't ask for a whole lot more for a team that we had coming into the season. 2-2 is pretty great. Your next 4 games, Dolphins at home, Packers on the road. Packers aren't that great. Broncos on the road. Broncos aren't that great. Patriots at home, should beat them. And then the next week you got the Bills at home, and then you got the Patriots on the road again. The next 6 weeks are going to be very, very interesting to see if we can get these November games that matter, these December games that matter. Why can't we beat the Packers?
Patriots almost did with their 4th string quarterback.
Like this, that is not a good team. The Broncos are a mess. They are not a good team. I don't like the Broncos this year. They clearly have a lot of holes, and Russ looks really old. You can take advantage of all that stuff.
They lost their running back.
Just lost Monte Williams for the rest of the year. They had to sign
Latavius
Murray. They signed off the street. Like it's shaping up to be pretty weird. But it all starts Sunday with the Dolphins game. I think we'll come out with our social post on Sunday with our score predictions and our big plays. Yes. But I think I need
very banged up. I have a wedding on Saturday.
That's fine. Sunday morning, you wake up, you have a bagel and a coffee, and you'll be fine. I believe in you.
It's in Syracuse. You don't have good bagels.
Yeah, that's true. You guys don't have anything there. Elijah Moore. I would love for Elijah Moore to come alive in this game. What's one thing you want to see coming out of this game? I'll start with Jay.
All right, so I want to see this. I want to see the safeties prove it to me. I mean, I already have complete faith in DJ and Sauce, but I mean, our safeties, they had one of the worst games I've ever seen, followed up by like a 4 interception, like amazing game the following game. I don't know what, like they've got my brain twisted up in a pretzel. I don't know what to believe. So we'll figure it out though. I mean, this is if there's a team we're going to figure it out against, this team, because between, you know, as Greg's been talking about like the whole show, between Waddle and Tyreek, I mean, you can get cooked up real fast. It could be 2 drives. You miss an assignment, that's a touchdown. I mean, that's 80 yards in your face. So
Sauce Gardner, you want to be the rookie of the year? Show me.
I mean, Revis shut him down, right? These types of guys down.
These guys, if you're an elite corner in this league, which we think Sauce can be, and what he's shown so far against really good talent, Jamar Chase had nothing, did nothing. Like Deontay Johnson did basically nothing the whole game. Like, show me.
Every time Sauce gets beat, it's like a spectacular catch or a spectacular throw.
Yeah, the touchdown that never was, the Deontay Johnson touchdown, was like an incredible throw from Trubisky, and an incredible catch from Deontay Johnson. Just happened to not get his foot down in time.
Yeah.
Greg, what are you looking for?
I think the continued dominance of Q. I got my eye on that, because now it's starting to get. I know Peter Schrager brought it up on Good Morning Football that like now he's starting to get a little national buzz. True, very true. He's starting to get some national buzz, and usually that's when we see Jets players kind of fall to the wayside a little bit. But Q is just Q. Yeah, I love Shells. Q is just dominating, and he's gonna have to have a big game again if they're gonna want to compete with his team. That and the linebackers, because there's a strong chance that the linebackers just get absolutely torched.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me it was gonna be. I'll give something else because you already brought up the defensive line, but like Carl Lawson, like you're getting paid a lot of money. Let's make some impact plays.
Starting around into form a little bit.
Starting to come alive a little bit. He's still getting his sea legs under him. I'm sure he's still trying to get in game shape. That speed is different. Coming off a torn ACL. Like, I get it.
Achilles, not even ACL.
Sorry, not ACL. Achilles, sorry.
ACL
takes time.
A 2-week injury.
Yeah, it really is now. It takes time, but like you're getting paid a lot of money and you want to be a part of this team. Like, let's see it.
This is a game where you get a big sack. This is what you pay Carl Lawson for.
Like, let's not pretend that Teddy Bridgewater is like this dominant force. He's a solid backup. Yeah. You should be able to take advantage. Do they have a really good offensive line? I don't even know. I don't think so. It's good. It's decent. It's fine. Carl Lawson, Jermaine Johnson, Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, like all these guys. Jacob Martin, Bryce Huff. Show me something. That's what I want to see. I need sacks. I need pressures. I need to force Bridgewater out of the pocket, make him throw the ball away, couple interceptions, fumble here, fumble. I want to see it all. But what I really want to see is 4 strong quarters from Zach Wilson more than anything. Yep. I want him to come out strong. I want him to be able to throw the ball when he needs to throw the ball, and I want to pound the fuck out of the ball with Breece Hall. What is wrong with me tonight?
You're all over the map. You're just so fired up for the game.
I'm so excited. I really am so excited. Like I'm getting there like 8 a.m. I'm ready to roll.
I'm so Sunday sad. Morning. I always go to the home opener, and then like games like this happen, and I'm like, I wish I lived closer.
Why don't you come?
I'll be in Syracuse. I have a wedding Saturday.
Skip the wedding.
Yeah, you should.
Is it anyone important?
Reading. Yeah, it's my cousin. I'm doing a reading in it.
Okay, fine. Yeah, you have to be at that. A reading? Yeah. Like at church?
I think it's at a venue, but like they asked me to do a reading, so I'm doing a reading.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Lou, it's actually excusable that you're a little off, because I am too. I've been all day because I realized earlier on the Slab Stocks post that people out there are making money on Geno Smith cards, and it's not us. And
did you see that, Greg?
In the Venn diagram of who should be making money on Geno Smith cards right now,
there's a very small group of people, and it's
you too.
That Venn diagram, like just catching in on Geno Smith rookies, and for some reason, I got no cards, and that makes me
really
upset.
Where the hell is the post? I can't find the post. See if you can find the post, but there's apparently Geno Smith cards are red. Oh, here it is. 8th. Yeah, Geno Smith collector week 4. Nearly a decade after being drafted, Geno Smith's card prices are hitting all-time highs. His 2013 National Treasures RPA, if you're not familiar with cards, it's basically like the nicest card you can get of his. It sold for $61 on 11/19/2021. And last week, it sold for $850.
Sheesh.
Coming off of his hot start.
Damn. Lou, how did I not put $500 on some high-end Geno Smith cards? I'd be making thousands.
I feel the same way about Sanchez cards. Sanchez cards are really expensive. It's like this thing where there's like a very.
I looked at him too. I was like, "What the hell? He's been out of the league.
It's crazy.
He's a nobody to like accept us."
No
That's
one cares about Mark
the
Sanchez except for like
BGS
25 Jets fans. That's it. That's the only ones who care. It's crazy. I would love to have like an elite Mark Sanchez collection, but it's tough.
I have a fire Mark Sanchez black refractor, a BGS 10.
Do you really?
I do in my closet. I got it for
great
like,
card. Can
got
you
it for
find
like
it real quick before we
$40.
sign off? I want to see it before we sign off.
I got it. I'll take myself out.
Yeah, try to find it real quick. Here, I'm gonna take you out, Jay. Don't worry. We're back. Jay is still looking for the card, but I don't think he's gonna find it, but that's okay. I think it's a good week in Jets land. I think there's a lot to be excited about. It's positive vibes right now.
Mm-hmm.
And a big game's coming up. So I think that's it for this episode. Hopefully we'll be back Sunday night after a big Jets win. Maybe we'll do a therapy session. We haven't done a therapy session yet post-loss. So maybe we'll do one of those.
Yeah.
Let's
I mean, I'm in.
Yeah, I'll be home. I'll be home Sunday after the game. So potentially making a nice little social man on the street situation on Sunday morning. If anyone's going to be in the parking lot, hit me up. If you happen to be listening to the show randomly, I would love to talk to you.
Someone's going to be driving in. Dad, turn around. We're going to the parking lot.
So I think that'll be it for this episode. Greg, I appreciate you. Jay, I appreciate you in the back. As always, still looking for the card.
Jay.
We'll have it on next week. We love Jay over here. So that'll be it. Go Jets. Peace and love.